This is Don Mazzella again for Small Business Digest. I invited our guest on the phone on the show because I thought we were going to talk about fishing lures because I'm a fisherman, but it turns out he's an entrepreneur. And the more I heard his story, I said we have to talk about his story and how to be some of the root traits of being an entrepreneur rather than talk about what I wanted, which was the fishing lure. But anyway, Jerry Phlippeau is here to join us and to tell us a little bit about his personal background, what he's doing now, and finally a website where you can learn more. Jerry, welcome to the program.
Hey, how you doing? Good to be here.
Well, I'm doing better now, not learning about fishing, but we'll learn about more what this show is all about. So,
Sure, we can talk about fishing if you want to when we get there.
no, most of the people on this show are more interested. They come here because they want to learn how to do their jobs better. So, Jerry,
Perfect.
you started to talk about it. How did you get started? And what's your personal life about? You said you were a musician and an artist as well. So let's
Yeah,
start
so
at the beginning.
yeah, I'll give you a little snippet. I grew up in the Midwest in a little town of Ladd, Illinois, 2,000 people. And in 1991, I moved to Los Angeles, and that was life-changing. I was a singer-songwriter at the time and a typical struggling artist, trying to pay bills, trying to just survive in LA. And one evening I got mugged by knife point, and I had all my money taken. I was then robbed. Eventually, I lost everything. I went into a deep depression and literally was living out of my car for months. And I'm a survivor, so I had to figure out how to make it. I could have always came back to the Midwest. My family would have welcomed me, but I knew that I wanted to be in Los Angeles to be a singer-songwriter, which is what I was doing. So I started selling things literally out of my car, out of the trunk of my car. I even did Amway. I did all of these other things like multi-level marketing. But what I found was if I could find a product that I could demonstrate, people would gravitate to it and buy it. And the first one was actually pepper spray. I sold so much pepper spray. It was crazy, door to door, college universities, all over the place. And then I had this great idea. I'm like, oh man, I'm going to be a millionaire. I'm going to raise some money. I'm going to put a direct response TV commercial together. I did all of that, produced the commercial. It was called the Guardian Pepper Spray, did all of the media buying, launched it. And within 2 weeks, I was bankrupt, literally back in my car. You can't write this stuff. Back in my car. And then I started adding, little security products along the way, alarms and different things. And I met a gentleman on an airplane. He said, hey, JCPenney is looking for these personal alarms. Why don't you get on an airplane to China? I'm sure they make these things for $1. They're paying $10. And I literally, that's how it happened. I said, well, I got to figure out a way to get to China. So I did. I went to China in 92, found the factory making personal alarms. Well, first I went to Hong Kong thinking that was China, but I was mistaken. Crossed the border eventually, and it was crazy. And then I finally got my first sale for $250,000 with JCPenney. And I had to come back to the Midwest where people knew me, raise the money in order to fulfill my first order. That's how I got started.
I gather you're a very persuasive salesman, especially if you get friends and family to back you.
Well, picture 1992, a guy with hair down to his waist, 2 earrings, and looked like a hippie that just got off of the Guns N' Roses tour.
So your first order was JCPenney. What happened then?
So JCPenney was interesting because we fulfilled the order and then we lost all the money because I was back then invoicing on a typewriter and I didn't know how to even invoice a major company properly. So that was discouraging, where we were going to make 100,000, I lost 40,000. So we started over again. Last time I packed my car and I went to the East Coast, university to university, selling pepper spray, selling alarms, and built all that money back up again. Then I had an item that I had found while in China called the world's smallest radio. It was just a little FM radio with 2 earbuds you put in your ear. And I heard about this company called QVC. And I thought, that would be a great item for QVC. Well, it took me almost a year to finally get on to QVC. And I went on with that radio and we sold 10,000 radios in 2 days. And I was like, this is amazing. So since then, I have built up over 500 SKUs and products that I've sold myself, of products that I've either invented, which I have a couple of patents, or items that we sourced in China or in other countries too, some European countries, and sold them. It's been my main customer now for almost 27 years. I sell QVC worldwide, HSN, which is the home shopping network, QVC Germany, QVC UK, TVSN in Australia. And in fact, I leave this weekend to head over to Asia. And then from there, I'm in Europe doing shows live. I'll actually go on air, and I'll be on in Australia, I'll be on in Germany, I'll be on in the UK selling my products.
When you say products, what products are you still doing the FM radio? What type of
No,
products?
that's been long gone.
Oh.
I right now, currently, it's mostly different kinds of flashlights, work lights, portable lighting, home decor items, flameless candles, which is one item that we have a patent on, some pet products, but primarily like storage solutions and battery operated and rechargeable work lights, flashlights, things like that.
Okay, let's back up a minute. And our audience is made up of people, of leaders of small businesses, usually under 50 employees. But tell us a little bit, what are some of the things you've learned besides overcoming bankruptcy a couple of times? What are some of the things that you've learned that may help our audience?
I think the biggest thing for me is listening. Like, I know I'm talking a lot right now. Maybe it seems like I'm not a good listener, but
that's because you're on my program. All my guests talk.
So I had great advice from years ago from along my journey. I met an individual named Robert Greenberg. He founded a company called Skechers, and prior to that was LA Gear. He said, Jerry, listen, the world will tell you what you need to do. And he goes, I'll give you a quick story. One day, my daughter walked into my house and she had boys' basketball shoes on. And I said, honey, why are you wearing boys' basketball shoes? She said, Dad, they don't make girls' basketball shoes. So he said, I listened. I started a company. I know I'm making it sound easy, but he started a company called LA Gear, focused on female basketball shoes. So for me, it's listening what the needs are, solving a problem. And then the next level, when we're just talking products at this point, the next level is, can I make the product at a level that it can go through all of the sales channels and then retail at a perceived value that people feel like they're getting a value, a quality product, and convenience to buy it. That's kind of for me, that's a quick summary. We won't go into cash flow and investors and all of that. I mean, I could go on for hours about that stuff, but I think listening has always been important, and surrounding yourself with great employees. Most of my employees have been with me more than 25 plus years, and not many people can say that. It's not because I'm a great guy. It's because I listen. Just as much as I listen to the needs of people for products, I also listen to the needs of my employees. And I never let my ego get in the way, because sometimes a lot of times they have better ideas than I do. So I have to listen.
Well, let me stop a minute and ask you a question that I ask some guests. When we talk about value, but what does that really mean to your audience? I ask it. Is it anyway? What do you think value should be?
Well, it's changed over the years. Now it's kind of funny. We have such a transparent world that we live in. Everybody who looks at buying anything, they go to Amazon, right? They look at Amazon and they say, okay, I'm going to get my product in 2 days. I'm going to buy it and I'm going to get the best price. So everything we do on TV and everything we do with our customers, I make sure that the retail ends up at less than 15% than Amazon. We even sell some of our products on Amazon, but I make them more expensive. So we show a value and try to promote our brand as being quality, and a value. So I want my customers to walk away feeling like, man, I got the best deal from Phlippeau. I don't really need to go to Amazon. I mean, of course, I'm going to go to Amazon for stuff that Phlippeau doesn't have. But I know if I shop there, I'm not going to find out later that I saw it on Amazon for less money. So that's just a snippet of my value story as far as in a product world.
Hmm. It's interesting. Are we beginning to say that Amazon almost becomes the bar in which you have to beat?
It's unbelievable. So, I deal with a lot of major clients. I have HSN, QVC, but then I have Home Depot and I have Menards and I have Lowe's and Ace Hardware. All of them, this is so crazy. When I sit in a buyer's meeting with them and we pitch the product, we show them, here's what they do. They pick up their phone, they go to the Amazon app and they go, we can't show a value against Amazon. Hands down, it's become the bar. And it's sometimes very frustrating and very difficult because you have a lot of Chinese suppliers now selling direct from China to their distribution center. So it's hard to compete with open market items. That's why a lot of times I work with entrepreneurs. They have an idea and we make a product that's new and unique, like Floatzilla. Floatzilla is a fishing product. And the individual Doug Reed came to me and he said, hey, I got this great idea. I'm making them out of my garage on a 3D printer, but I can't keep up with the demand. Can you make these for me? I said, I know all the people. I know all the distribution. I know the channels where we can sell it to, and we can make, a great factory that I've been working with for 15 years. So within 6 months, we took his product to market, and then we manufactured it, took it to market, launched it at ICAST, and we've sold 100,000 pieces the first year of launching the product. We did it on a shoestring budget. And then I was able to teach him all of the things that I learned over the last 27 years and all the mistakes, the expensive educational mistakes that I made. Just like, we're going to sell on Amazon, Doug, but we're going to keep it more expensive because we want Tackle Warehouse to be able to show a value. We want the mom and pop in Virginia or wherever selling the Floatzilla lure to show a value. We don't want their customer walking in and them being embarrassed saying, I can get this thing on Amazon with no shipping in 2 days cheaper. So that's very, very important.
But let's talk about another thing about Amazon. Amazon will see how well you're doing with the product and develop a similar product and sell it for less.
So how do we combat that? Let's talk about intellectual property. So and exactly what I told Doug, I said, this is a great idea and a great product. Are you willing to pony up some money to try to get a patent? And he says, what's it going to cost me? I said, probably between 15 and 20,000 when it's all said and done. Well, we started that right away because you have 1 year from when you show the product in public or through trade to file the patent. Well, Doug did file the patent, and 2 weeks ago was just granted a utility patent, not a design patent, a utility patent for anything that connects to soft plastics, lizards, any kind of lure that can make it float. That's a strong, broad patent, and it was just issued. Our published date was on the 17th.
So you're in effect saying you better get a patent or you're going to be in trouble.
You're going to certain items, yes. So that was a long answer about Amazon. But now, if somebody comes up with a soft plastic, a float that's hooked to any kind of lure, within 2 or 3 hours, we send the patent, a letter from our attorney, and Amazon will pull it down, hands down, without a question.
But let's just stop a minute. When you say float, well, most lures float. What makes that lure so patentable?
So it's an attachment. Okay, let's just talk about like a stick worm or any kind of worm, a solid worm. It's going to fall to the bottom. It's going to fall to the bottom and drag. So unless you fill it with air or do some things, it's going to fall and drag. So you cut off the end of your worm, or you cut off the head of the lizard. Let's talk about a lizard. So you cut off the head of the lizard. If you just look at a lizard, and I've watched many videos of Doug and us working for promotional videos, it falls to the ground and then it kind of just drags along. Now the head becomes a float, so the head pops up and you're pulling it like this. So it makes it look much, much more alive. Or if it's the worm, it's not dragging, it's now the tail's popping up and you're dragging it along instead of just going like this.
So Well, do you have a website? Before we go further, do you have a website that people can know more about you and perhaps talk to you?
Yeah. So the best place really is an umbrella to see all of our products, including Floatzilla is on there. Everything is called shopphlippo.com. Or if you just go to Phlippeau.com, it will take you to Shop Phlippeau. So it's F as in Frank, LIPO.com. So Phlippeau.com. That's kind of the overarching that will take you to many different places. You can send it, an email if somebody was interested in talking to me about product development, or just I answer every email I get the best I can. I mean, I will answer every email, and I'll try to help. I love to. It's my way of giving back. I like to help entrepreneurs. I like to give them advice and not to see them waste money like I did, or lose a lot of money in the past.
Well, we know we all make mistakes. What are the 2 or 3 things that you would say to really watch out for as an entrepreneur?
You know what? I would say, well, there's so many. I have to just pick something. I guess a new entrepreneur is, if you have a product, or a concept or an idea, don't marry yourself to it. It's not your baby. It's not your, it's not your ugly baby that you think's beautiful. I can guarantee you that it may not be the item that really launches you into the stratosphere. I've had a few lemons in my day, and I've learned not to be married. I do to the product. Well, and in real life too. I've been married twice. That's another story. But anyway, so I just had another individual not too long ago. He said, thought his product was the greatest. He kept dumping money and dumping money and dumping money. I said, it's not working, and he just loved it so much. And I said, you got to let go. And then he did, and he came up with another item that was a work light, and it was great and made money. So if you just can't, you have to separate your personal with the product. You know what I mean? You've got to look at the demographic. A lot of people don't look outside. Like a product that I necessarily really like probably won't sell to the masses. So we try to look through the eyes of the consumer. In the QVC world and the HSN world, we call her. Her name is Nicole. Nicole is between 45 to 70, has 2 kids, lives in a cul-de-sac. So you have to put your mind into her mind to come up with products, because Nicole's not buying a fishing lure, but Nicole is probably going to buy a little safety alarm or a door alarm or something to make her feel more secure. Things like that.
Mhm. That's a great one. Can you give us 2 more? You're on a roll.
Cash flow. People come to me with ideas all the time, and they have an idea, and they go in, and I go, that's a really good idea, but what if it takes off? Like, look at me. I had an order for $250,000. It took me months to raise the money, and I almost lost the order because I didn't have the money. So I think having that just lined up doesn't mean you got to have a line of credit ready to go. Doesn't mean that you need an investor to put money in an account, but maybe have those people lined up, and maybe try to get a line of credit. Just don't use it. Maybe get a $50,000 line of credit here, or this, and maybe even a couple of low interest credit cards, just so that you have the cash flow in case something really takes off. So the worst thing to do is have a product explode, and I've had it explode, where you scramble and don't have the money and you can't fulfill it. So that's the other bit of advice. And the third would be the big one, which you talked about before, is really, really listening to your gut instinct, listening to people around you, listening to the world. They'll all tell you what to do. Don't ever think you know it all. I've been doing this 30 years, and every day I learn from my kids, or I learn from my employees. My sons are now adult men. 15 years ago, they said, hey, Dad, you should just spend $100 and buy this Bitcoin. I go, huh? And he goes, just $100, Dad. Well, if I would have listened, we all know what that would have meant.
But let me ask you a different question. I come to you with an idea. How do you structure a deal? And more importantly, what is some of the advice you give if a product is successful? What happens at the end? Who divides the spoil?
So you mean as far as if they're working in conjunction with me specifically?
No, and just in general, what are some of the things you would say to someone who's looking around for people to partner to get
Sure.
him or her
So-
product
So I
out.
can I'll give you the elevator pitch on this. So basically, somebody comes to me, I got this great idea. First thing I go, okay, it looks like a good idea to me, but what is your due diligence? What have you done? Well, what do you mean? Have you looked on Amazon here again? No. Have you Googled anything like it in words and things like it? Well, not really. Some people kind of. So I say that's where you need to start, because it's surprising how many people have come to me with a good idea, but it already exists. So I said, then you're wasting your time. Go out there and do, look, if you're not savvy on the internet, I'll do a quick search for you, or have somebody look for you and just see. Okay, great. There's nothing like it. New item, new idea. All right, now let's look at the perceived value. What's somebody going to pay for this? Okay. I just invented, I'm pretending here. A guy came to me and said, I got a stapler. This is going to change the world. Okay, great. How much? I think we can sell them for $100 each. I would be like, I don't think so. Well, I'm going to file a patent. Well, the perceived value isn't $100. Maybe the perceived value is $9.95. Great. He agrees. Now, how are we going to make this? Well, we're going to make it in China. We're going to make it in, Mexico, or maybe we try to make it in the US, right? Wherever we can make it. So I say, in order for this to be $9.95, we need to be able to make it and put it in your warehouse for $2. He's like, well, I don't understand. That's a lot of money. I go, well, it isn't, because you can't sell this alone. You've got to use distributors. You've got to use wholesalers. You're going to sell the mass market. Maybe they're going to have their markdown money. So to make a long story short is that you have to make sure that you can make the product and still have the consumer buy it at the right perceived value, with still feeling like they're getting like a value again, like we talked about. So that's the biggest hurdle. Once we have all of that down, then we say, okay, great. This product can sell. Are you funded? Are you well funded? Well, no. I go, then you need to get that piece of the puzzle in line. Don't have the money in the account, but you need to make sure you have access to it, because if we're going to move forward with tooling it and getting the marketing material, we're looking at $10,000 to $20,000 to $30,000 to launch it by the time we pay for tooling, marketing, inventory, and all of that, that stuff. So those are the things I think that lead up to the launch of a product. Of course, there's much more that goes into it as far as market studies and looking at where we're going to sell it, what's the demographic, and things like that.
It's a great short explanation. I have a lot more questions, but we're getting close to the end of the time. Your website again for people on how they can reach you?
Sure. Phlippeau.com, Flipo.com. And I don't know if you want my email address, or info@Phlippeau.com is the best place. So info@Phlippeau.com. If you have any questions, you have a product idea. Been doing this 30 years. I'm a wealth full of knowledge from, like I say, all the mistakes I made. So let's not make the same mistakes as I did.
Would you do it again?
Absolutely. It's been a great ride.
Okay. Well, what do you intend to do in the future?
I don't see myself retiring. I'm 56 now. I love what I do, and I think I'll be doing this until somebody wants to shove me in the ground.
Are your children going to come into the business?
They've all tried, but I always say they're smarter than me, because I think sometimes as an entrepreneur, you have to be really stupid. Like, I think I'm really stupid, and I say that tongue in cheek, meaning you take a lot of risks that most people won't take. I've been bankrupt. Not officially bankrupt, where I actually filed for bankruptcy, but I've been out of money several times, on the verge of bankruptcy. Not many people can take that kind of pressure. So they kind of jumped in and they saw, wow, what it takes to be an entrepreneur. So they've decided to go to college. Well, one son's going to be a veterinarian. The other one's going to be a doctor. So they're the smart ones. I'm the dumb one.
Someone once gave me a T-shirt. I can't be out of money. I still have checks.
I love it. I love it.
So your website one more time, because I think people want to see and what you're all about.
Sure. It's Phlippeau.com, Flipo.com.
Okay, on that note, we have to say, Jerry, it's been for me a very educational time. Thank you.
Great. I love it. I love it. It's been fun talking to you.